Hey, wedding creatives. Are you ready to learn our step by step system on how to earn 2 to 3 times more per year through multiple revenue streams, all while expanding your creativity and propelling your wedding business forward?
You're invited to our new free training happening this January called the Revenue Blueprint. By diversifying your revenue streams, you can create consistent year round income and the freedom to build the business and life you truly want. And we will show you exactly how inside the free training, the Revenue Blueprint.
You can save your seat today by heading to thelevelupco.com/blueprint, and we look forward to seeing you there.
This is the Level Up Podcast. I'm Taylor Petrinovich,
And I'm Kelley Gilster of 618 Studios.
and we are on a mission to help wedding filmmakers and photographers level up their businesses so you can make more and work less.
We want to help you confidently take your business from mainstream to luxury, and it all starts right here. Hi, friends. Thank you so much for joining us for another conversation. I am here with my girl, Taylor. Taylor, how are you?
I'm great. We were literally just talking about this before we hit record, but as you guys are listening to this, Kelley and I are at Kindred in Palm Springs together, which is so exciting. And that's why we record these things a little bit ahead of time. We're just like 2 weeks ahead in the recording booth here. But fun fact about Kelley and I is we have been in business together for 2 years, and we've only been together in person like maybe 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. When I flew up to you to meet you for the first time, and then what else?
Then when we filmed the luxury framework,
Yeah, our course,
and
our pre-recorded
and
course.
then my family went to Disneyland and you met up with us in downtown Disney and we had dinner.
That was insane.
Yeah. Oh, and then you came up here to Sacramento for a corporate shoot and we met up for dinner
Okay,
when you
well,
were in
okay,
Davis.
okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was when you were like newly pregnant. I think you had like just right?
I think
Yeah,
I was,
you had like
2 weeks pregnant and, 3 weeks pregnant and, so shocked and, still just, how? How? But yeah.
if you're new to the podcast, Kelley has since had her baby and he's
Yeah.
like coming up on what, like 9 months now?
He's, 8? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was born
Oh,
in May 2024, and now we're sitting in January 2025. So, yeah, he's the best. But yeah, there was
he's so
that,
cute.
and
Our
then you
brand
came
shoot.
down recently for our
Yeah.
branding shoot.
In November. And
Okay,
so,
so
yeah,
maybe
so
it's been,
then
7 times
I was counting. So this is number 6.
at Kindred?
Yeah, Kindred is number 6.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and then we'll do Engage in December together again. So if I don't see you, I think I'll see you probably sometime in 2025 before that, but who knows? You guys, that's just how life works with 6 kids between the 2 of us is and you guys, I know we're both in California, but we live 600 miles away. So
Yeah.
that's how it
California's a big
goes.
state.
Yeah. Okay, anywho. So we're at Kindred. I bet it's a good time. I'm sure we're posting all kinds of stories on our Instagram. So if you don't follow us at the Level Up Co, go follow us. And then if you want to hop onto our like individual film brand um Instagrams too, I'm sure we're probably posting more things that are more like in alignment there as well. So hop on over to those. They're linked in our bio. But we are like spilling some tea. I know we just came out of our sip and tell series and that is officially over, but we probably have the most piping hot tea that we're ever going to spill that we've never have done before in this episode because we are going to tell you the secret that we've never talked about that actually helped catapult us into the luxury market. And I think it's kind of cool.
I think it's fun. When we started on this journey, opening up more transparency about this avenue and area that we're going to discuss today, I remember being a little bit nervous. Me and Taylor had many a conversations of, is this the right move for us? Is this the right move for Level Up Co? Do the people want this? I know that we've primarily just talked about how to grow your photography and videography businesses into the premier and luxury markets. But Yeah, we are talking about new things, which is our secret strategy, which skyrocketed each of our businesses. Should we just get right into it? Do we have anything else to like lead up with?
Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. I think that's way more fun. It
Okay, go.
increases the shock value.
Great. We're like 3 minutes in and they're like, whoa, mind's blown.
Mind's blown. Okay. Okay. So I'm trying to like figure out a way to word this where it doesn't sound dumb. You can keep that in, Cassie. Our podcast editor is Cassie Hyatt. If you don't already follow her, go give her a follow on Instagram. So fun. Okay, so basically, what skyrocketed both of us is the ability to only book weddings that were in alignment with where we wanted to go. And the only way to be able to do that in a sustainable way is to have income coming in from other places other than weddings. So, what we see happen a lot, and you guys, we have coached like 150 people through our mastermind. So we've had our hands literally in so many businesses. So we see what's common repeating themes for most people. And I think we can assume that a lot of you listening are going to fall in the exact same boat. So if this is you, what I'm about to say, you're not alone. Is you're trying to grow your business. You listen to this podcast, you probably listen to other podcasts, you probably consume other education because you have your sights set on this premier or luxury level of the market. You're like, I see people charging 8, 10, 12, $20,000 for a wedding. I want in on that. That sounds great. That's going to be life-changing. And also those events are super cool. And how fulfilling would that feel if I could do that too? And you guys, that's how we feel too. That's why we have this brand. But the thing that happens is if you are relying on your weddings to pay your bills, to feed your family, to pay off those student loans or whatever it may be, that is just that nagging little financial devil on your shoulder that you can't get rid of, is you're going to fall into this cycle where you have to book weddings just to pay the bills. And
Hmm.
that's super normal. We all start that way, and it's something we all encounter. And as much as we are hoping and wanting to level up our businesses, pun fully intended, through branding, building relationships, learning more about the luxury market, and putting those things into our business, something happens, which is a sticking point in that you have to be booking weddings to pay the bills. And so that's going to
Yeah.
slow your growth. If you are literally booking all the inquiries that come into your inbox, like you're not going to grow. That's just a simple fact of life. There has to be times of basically waiting it out until you get the better bookings in order to grow. Because if you keep booking, shooting, and sharing the same weddings, you're just going to attract them, right? So the secret is having other income flooding into your inbox not your inbox, your bank account every single month so that you can confidently wait for the right weddings to come along, right?
Yes. Yes. And I think that there are some people who are innately business minded and can piecemeal that strategy together and see growth in a certain amount of time, but it's not going to skyrocket your business like it can with how we have diversified, how Taylor has. I mean, Taylor, you've been very transparent from the very beginning that when you started your wedding brand, your family didn't rely on your income.
Yeah, that's 100% true. And yeah, my husband has a great job. And I've never had the pressure on me to perform or to bring in any predetermined amount of revenue every year. My income has always been discretionary and it's always gone to extras. So, this is our home renovations, our saving up for our dream home, our going to Hawaii, or whatever. Like, all of those things are not necessary for our family to live and thrive, right? And so, with that in mind, it has increased my ability to take risks, which is something I love talking about because I do think risk taking is um, something that most people are not comfortable with, but it's a muscle that you can flex and it's a position you can put yourself in on purpose instead of waiting for it to feel comfortable for you. So let's just like break this down. So I was first able to take risks and grow quickly because I have my husband to offset income. Um, Kelley and Paul, you guys, on the other hand, do not have that luxury, which is the case for a lot of people, especially those of you who are either single or husband and wife teams like Kelley and Paul. And so you have to kind of supplement that in another way for that stability so that you can then take risks in your wedding brand. And I want to hear I want to hear more of your story, but I want to set the stage so that you can just take it from there.
Okay.
You guys have been in business for a crazy amount of time. You love to refer yourself as the grandma of the industry, and you're not super old, but you have been around for a very long time
I
since
mean,
you
I
were a
started our we started our
baby.
business when I was 21 in
Yeah.
college. So, even though, yeah, I'm not super old, I still feel like the grandma of the industry sometimes.
But,
Um,
most of your career was not spent in the luxury market. Most of
no,
your career was slow, slow growth, and then all of a sudden, it's like somebody flicked on the lights and you guys grew rapidly because, drum roll,
because we diversified. The lights
boom.
flipped on were like us realizing that, no, if we really, really want to reach these big goals that we have for ourselves, like growing a family, buying our first home in friggin' Southern California that is so expensive. Oh my gosh, I can't even. Um, it was going to take hustle, but well, we thought it was gonna take hustle. We were like, "It's gonna take hustle." But we continued to spin our wheels trying to figure out how to make it work, and then it wasn't until those lights flipped on and we were like, "What if we weren't solely just depending on our wedding income?" And
Mhm.
that's when things really changed, and that all happened in, I would say, 2020. So, yes, we've been in business now for, 15 years, but in the last 4 years is where our income has, over 3 times the amount, and we were already making multi six figures at that time, but, it's insane now what has happened because we've pursued diversification in so
Yeah.
many areas, in education, in digital products, and in corporate commercial work.
Yeah. So, here's what I see a lot, and I know this because I'm chronically online and I read all the comments and I lurk and I look at everyone's businesses, right? So we see the frustrations. We see
Yeah.
you. If you have been trying to grow your primary wedding business and you're like, what the heck? I've been at this for way longer than this other person over here who just got into business and grew way faster than me. What am I doing wrong? You guys, you're not doing anything wrong. They just have a higher ability to take on risk than you probably do. But the beauty of it is it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to live in the same grind, the same stagnation, the same plateau that you've been living in for the last however many years. 2025 is your year to take control over the controllables and set yourself up in the same position that those people who skyrocketed faster than you have been in themselves, right? So, um, we see it all the time where people get into that scarcity mindset. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I have to book whatever next inquiries come in. Oh, I haven't seen a booking. I have to do lower my prices back down. Oh, I haven't seen a booking. I have to cattle call on my Instagram stories to try to drum up some business or whatever it may be." And that's not the way. That's absolutely not the way. Success comes to businesses who are very confident in their positions in the market, and
Yeah.
nobody is attracted to desperation, if we're being totally honest. That's just human nature and that's the way it works. And so if you can confidently put yourself in a position, in a power position of not needing it, it's almost like reverse psychology. It's like when you as soon as you stop being desperate and stop needing it so much, all the inquiries flood in and it's like this crazy thing that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
Um
I mean,
yeah,
full transparency for me, we had a gnarly booking spell just now. If you guys have been through a booking spell, you know how scary it can be.
a
And
booking dry spell,
yes,
dry spell.
yes,
Yeah.
sorry, a booking dry spell. So we just went through this big dry spell. I remember we went through a booking dry spell once one other time this amount, but we almost went 5 months without booking a wedding. So we hadn't booked anything until since August, and then we're sitting here in January and we just booked another wedding. If we solely relied on our wedding income, that would have been devastating to us. And there would have been a lot of scarcity mindset tactics, which would probably have crept into our business. And what is that going to do? It's just going to water down our brand and break the integrity of our brand But because we had diversified, we could just like wait and remain confident and steadfast and know that, like, okay, we're holding out because it's going to come and we're not solely relying just on this. And I remember the year before when that happened, I think it was like 2014. We had been in business for 4 years and we went 4 months without shooting a wedding and we went 4 months without booking a wedding, and it
Mhm.
completely depleted our savings account. And so we were, like, sitting there, like, a zeroed out savings account. What the heck are we gonna do? And, I think, like, a wedding booking ended up coming in, and we were like, "Okay, we're okay." But, like, we've been in the shoes of a starving artist before. So, like, if you're sitting there and you're like, "Well, it must be nice," it's like, "Hey, like, I've been there too." So, like, I see you, and I wanna share with you, like, how to make these real changes, like, take the driver's seat and make it happen for yourself.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be that way. Like, what's always been does not have to be what's going to be. Just because you've done something a certain way in the past doesn't mean that it's your future. Like, literally today, you can make the decision, like, that's not me. That's not what I'm going to be doing this year. Like, I want to see the success that my peers have had and people that I look up to have had. And we're literally telling you exactly how we were able to do it, right? Of course, it has to do with your work quality has to be great. You have to have your branding locked in. You have to have the relationships to support it. But if you are unable to take some risks in your business by supplemented income through these diversification practices that we put in place, like you're just not going to see the growth. Like it's just kind of a fact of life, unfortunately. And so being able to take on risks is what's going to set you apart from the crowd. And you guys, if we're being totally honest, like we have like thousands of people in our audience and everyone is hearing the same message. And what's going to set you apart from everybody else is you're listening to this and you're like a little intimidated. You're like, oh my gosh, where do I start? But you're going to be different because you're going to actually take action.
Yeah.
The amount of people who consume free education, free content is a vastly like different number than people who actually act on what they're learning. And that's insane to me because like we're spoon feeding it to you. But it's hard, it's scary. Like the human brain is made to keep you safe. And so any sort of fear, whether or not it's fear that is rooted in reality, fear is going to make you freeze in your place and not do anything, and you're going to do self-sabotaging behavior, which can look like productive behavior. It can look like doing all of the research and wanting to wait until it's perfect to actually launch it into the world. It can look like talking yourself in circles until you decide not to do it. And instead, we want you to like rip the band-aid off and just jump in because we promise it's like a beautiful thing once you get started and you start to train your brain into learning that it's actually not scary, it's actually really great. And so many amazing good things can come from it. And we are 2 weeks into 2025, which means we have 50 weeks left of the year. You guys, this time is going to pass whether you take action or not. So when
Yeah.
you're sitting here in 2026, do you want to be in the same place that you were a year ago, or do you want to have created this whole new revenue system to where you are now not only bringing in money from these diversification tactics that we're going to be teaching inside the revenue blueprint, but you're also now in a very powerful and like ability to take risks position in your wedding brand, which is going to help you grow into the luxury market faster there too. Like it's really like a double-edged sword, but in a positive way. So let's kind of like break this down into something we can visualize, right? So we're all in the wedding industry. We all know what the booking cycle looks like. And because it's January, if you're listening to this in real time, you are probably in a place where you are having inquiries come in and you might be feeling one of two ways. You're either happy with the inquiries that are coming in, or you're displeased with the inquiries that are coming in because they cannot meet your budget. And we have been there on both. Now, if you're happy with the inquiries, that's great. Keep doing you, boo. But if you're feeling a little disgruntled, where maybe your minimum is, I don't know, let's say 6,000, 7,000, and you're getting inquiries where the budget is like 2,000, and you're like, what the heck, man? Sometimes you might feel like you have to take those. And we've seen that from our students where we're seeing inquiries come in that are way lower than their minimum and they're taking them because they kind of have no choice. And we've all been there where you've booked weddings just because you kind of had to in the time. And then 3 months later, a dream inquiry comes in for the same wedding date, which
The
was way
worst.
better. and you're like shooting yourself in the foot. You're like, dang, I should have been patient. I should have waited. I wish I didn't book that. And we've all been there. And so, what we want to do is put you in a position where you can confidently say no to the weddings that you should be saying no to instead of taking them out of this feeling of scarcity, which is very real. And it's like a serious thing. Like, if you can't pay your mortgage, then yeah, you should take the booking for sure. But we want to set yourself up where you don't have to do those things. So,
Yes. Yeah. So my diversification journey started seriously in 2017. No, actually, 2018. Um, because, well, I guess we could talk about this too. So, those of you guys who are listening, you may not know Paul. So, I went to school for film. Paul went to school for civil engineering. I've probably talked about this here and there, but maybe you missed it if you're a new listener. Went to school for civil engineering. We started our business in 2010 while we were still in college. He stayed with the business. He decided, I'm going to stay with the business. Let's keep growing this to see where it goes. I'm going to get my master's in engineering to like pass some time, which is like such a crazy concept, but that's what happened. So he gets his master's in construction management. Then in like he graduated in 2016. 2017 was a crazy travel year for us work-wise, but we were only charging like $4,000 back then, 2017. And then in 20 then at the end of that year, he decided to go work for an engineering firm. He still stayed with 618, but he went and worked for the engineering firm. I guess technically that was like our first time ever diversifying. Taylor, what do you think? Is that technically?
I think that's more of jumping into my boat with my husband, like
Yeah.
having a different job. Yeah.
Yeah, but then what happened was he tried his best for like 18 months and he was like, "Actually, this is not for me. I wanna come back and I wanna grow out our commercial corporate work in a more strategic way." And I'm like, "Great. I'm happy to have you come back." Like, I was not doing well, like, just
By yourself at home all the time.
Yes.
That's
I'm
my
like the
dream
most, like,
life. We're so different.
social as we know, I'm like the most, like, social extroverted person, and I'm like, so sad being home by myself all the time.
That's like a dream. I love being by myself.
Yeah. Comes back and we're like, "Great, let's build out the commercial corporate work." Because then we had gotten used to what was it that you said, Taylor? Like life it's called the
Lifestyle
um,
creep. Mhm.
lifestyle creep. So the lifestyle creep had happened where now we had like 2 sets of income. We were saving for a down payment on our house, but we still had the 2 sets of income. We needed to like continue that. The lifestyle creep had gone too far. And we were like, we have to keep doing this. We can't go back. And so then that's why we're like, okay, let's do this. We didn't know how to do it. I learned so much along the way. I'm so excited to share it with those of you who want to pursue corporate commercial work because it is a whole different beast. And there is a clear strategy that it took us probably 3 years to figure out, but I can teach it to you really quickly, and then you can hit the ground running way faster than I did. So then in 2020, like, the diversification just kinda started snowballing because the cool thing about diversification is once you just dip your toes in it a little bit and you see that, like, glimmer of what's ahead for you and what's to come and what it can do for you, it honestly becomes, like, addicting. And then you realize that, like, you can just it's not as, like it's not as complicated as people make it out to be. Like, you can do it. Taylor, you shared last week where it's like a teacher only needs to read ahead one chapter in a book than her students, and then she can go back and teach that chapter to them because they just haven't read that chapter yet. And it's the same thing. It's like you realize that your talent is too valuable to not be expanded out to other markets, and your knowledge is too valuable to not be shared with others. And so that's why diversification is so it's just like a proven approach that we highly, highly believe in. So that's why we're so excited for our free training that's happening next week.
Yes. thelevelupcode.com/blueprint. We hope to see you there. There's 3 different times you can choose from. Little plug. And also I want to say too, so I love learning from people who are ahead, like further ahead than me, more successful than me, smarter than me, and all those things. And one thing I noticed really quickly when I started in the wedding industry back in 2017, when I was like addicted to YouTube, is, all of the companies that I looked up to at the time, so we're going like Ray Roman, White and Reverie, even some photographers. It was like Joy Michelle photography. Like I loved watching all kinds of YouTube. They all had something in common. They had diversified outside of weddings. And
Interesting. I love
I
that you're
mean,
bringing this all back.
yeah, so it was obviously these people chose education, which is my chosen route. I may be biased, but I think it's the best one. Just kidding. Corporate commercial is great too. Digital products are great too. But one thing that you'll notice is these people diversified, and it comes across really subtly because you don't notice that it's being monetized in the moment. And of course, everyone has their reasons for getting into sharing their knowledge. But I guarantee people are not putting in all the hours out of like the absolute goodness of their heart. Like they're getting a pay, like some sort of like payout, like some way. And a lot of times it's coming in the form of revenue and money in their pockets. And there's a reason for that, guys. Like, there's a reason why all of the most successful people diversify. It's because it is such a smart thing to do for both brands, for your diversified brand and for your primary brand, and it helps you grow like crazy. And I love to see people who like that light bulb turns on for them because once you realize it, it's like you can't unknow that. Like once you know it, you can't unknow it. And now it's like, okay, what are you gonna do with that knowledge? We just handed it to you. What are you gonna do with it? Like don't fumble the ball. Like this is your year. This is the year that like everything changes and we want to see you like run the ball into the end zone or something. I don't actually know football, but I think that's kind of right. Um,
We're coming up on the Super Bowl. Will you be watching, Taylor?
I will be eating the nachos. I will not be watching.
That's funny.
Um,
No, I wanna highlight this again because it is something that I didn't realize probably even 3 years, like, maybe 2 years ago, it finally that was another light bulb moment, was, like, I did some reflecting on how much 618 Studios, our primary wedding cinematography company, had grown. Like I said, in 2017, we were charging, like, $4,000. In 2019, we were charging like 7,500. Then 2020 hit. That was a weird year, but like we were building all of our revenue stream systems within 2020, 2021, 2022. That's why like we came out into 2022 and we immediately doubled our prices. And
mhm,
then now like, we're sitting at a 15,000 starting in 2025, and that would never have happened if we wouldn't have diversified when we did. And I didn't realize then reflecting back, like, whoa, 618 like over doubled our prices in the last 4 years. And I'm like, what was the common thread? And I'm like, that's when we diversified. And so not
mhm.
only did it help us by creating additional revenue streams, 2, 3 timesing our yearly income, but it just totally catapulted 618. And so that's what we want for you guys too. Obviously, you got into weddings because like you love it, you enjoy it, you want to see this business thrive and see it through to its top potential, and diversification is a large part of that as well.
Yeah, I actually like I kind of want to hit this from a couple different angles too. That like now that my brain is like working, so you probably fall into one of two camps, whoever's listening to this. Like either you are so overly booked with weddings that you have no time to like take on additional revenue streams, or you fall into this other camp where you're like, okay, cool, I shot my like 10 to 15 weddings. Like now I kind of like have some downtime until like the next season picks up.
Yeah.
So obviously camp B where you have time, it's like, why not fill that time with like something productive that makes you more money and is gonna help your other
Yes.
business? Like that feels like such a no-brainer. Or if you're like, oh my gosh, Taylor and Kelley, like I literally can't even like fathom doing something else because I'm so underwater. And it's like, okay, well, how are you gonna get out from like being underwater? Like if you had to do that this year, next year's gonna be the same. The next year is gonna be the same. Like you're gonna have to book that volume of weddings in order to make the same amount of money, basically. And then when are you gonna ever grow? Like I feel like that's such like a catch 22 that seems really,
It
really
is.
challenging to me. So it's like, okay, well, let's figure out a game plan for you where you don't have to feel this like sense of being heavily burdened by the volume of weddings you had to take on. Like that's so overwhelming and it's going to lead to burnout and then you're going to quit. Like we don't want that for you. So if you create a system where you can take on fewer weddings by diversifying your revenue, you get your weekends back, then you can raise your prices and then that can even allow you to take on less weddings. Like I still talk to people, like there's this husband and wife team that I've worked with like maybe like once every other year since I've started. And I had a wedding with them a year ago and they're like, "Oh, we still shoot like 50 weddings a year." And I'm like, "What?" My mind is blown. Like I could
Are they
not even
okay?
imagine.
Are they okay?
I I hope so. I think so. But I don't know. I feel like it's just like there's other ways to like make that money. Like where you have weekends to spend doing other stuff other than weddings. I don't know. That just like boggles my mind. I would never want to do that many. But I mean to each their own. It's fine. But yeah, or you could diversify and you can like teach people how to do stuff or you could shoot corporate stuff on a Tuesday and like get your Saturday back. You know what I mean?
Yes. We
Yeah.
love a corporate shoot on a Tuesday, you get your Saturday back. I think that was huge too, like, even family and friends of ours that are like, "Oh, like, how many weddings do you have this year?" And I'm like, "Oh, 10." And they're like, "Oh, really? Like, so you're not really, like, working that much?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, like, we're working." I mean, Taylor and I work. I was up till 11 PM last night horse riding. It's nonstop, but having our hands in so many different avenues keeps the creativity just top tier for me.
Yeah.
Like,
For me too.
yeah, people in the very beginning, I mean, I would say here and there, we would have corporate commercial work kinda just fall into our laps, even from year 1. I talk about it actually in our new course. I talk about how our very first corporate shoot, we booked for a very sweet mom who had a she was diversifying, first things first, and she had a spray tanning business in her garage, and she wanted a promo video to share it, and we charged her $100.
Ooh, the big bucks.
Big bucks. Big bucks. And now in 2024, we have invoiced corporate commercial clients for as high as 70 something K, like 76 or 74. I'd have to double check. But it's the growth is real, it can happen, but we would have never seen that growth if we hadn't taken some really strategic actions that we're excited to share with you inside of our free training.
We hope to see you there. We're clearly excited and you guys, for the sake of transparency, we want to make sure that everyone is being spoken to in this workshop. So you may fall into multiple categories as to why you're interested in diversifying. Like you may be like, I want to save up. I want to save up to buy a house or a second home or whatever it may be. So that's like extra money. Great. That's you. Fabulous. You're like, "Oh, this episode really spoke to me." And like my true goal is really just to scale my wedding business. Like I really want to be shooting luxury weddings. Like I really want it and I've been stuck and I think this is like something that's going to help me get unstuck. Like that's you. Come on down. Let's go. Maybe you're like, "I'm kind of bored if I'm being totally honest." Like, yeah, I like weddings, but like my eyes are starting to wander and I'm like, what else can I like do to stay creatively fulfilled? And if that's you, that was honestly, that was me when I started Level Up like back in 2020, 5 years ago. I was getting a little bored, a little antsy, and I was like, what can I do? Boom, that's you. We got you covered. And there's like a multitude of other reasons why you may want to diversify. Maybe you're just
Or
like the kind of person who wants stability and you're like, I just really want to make sure that I'm good. So like we're
yeah,
going to put our eggs in multiple baskets here. So
or
there's so many
maybe
reasons.
yeah,
Yeah,
or
go.
maybe you've tried to diversify, but it kind of fell flat. And you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm a little burnt on the diversification game. I've tried it. It didn't work for me." Let us show you our step-by-step approach on how it is going to work for you. So, maybe you just didn't see the success. What you poured into it wasn't what you were getting out of it. That happens. We see a lot of people basically taking that route and then kind of giving up on the course they created or giving up on their digital product that they made because they just weren't able to be able to sell it to the scalability that they wanted it to and be able to bring in the revenue that they wanted it to. And so if that's you and you're sitting there and you're like, I've tried this, it doesn't work. We're going to show you how it does work.
It can work. Like, whatever your idea is, like, there's a way to make it work. It might need a little bit of tweaking based off of what you're gonna learn with us, but you can market and sell almost anything. Like, if you were interested enough to create it, there's gonna be somebody interested enough out there who's gonna want it, right? I don't know. I very much so believe that. Like, I think that that's the beauty of, like, a free market and entrepreneurship is you get to, like, try new things and, like, see what people are interested in buying from you, and it may shock you, and we're here for that. That's why we're so transparent with our numbers. Like, we've so Kelly, you have, like, a lot of conversations with people who are interested in corporate commercial work, and their
Yeah.
minds are blown when they find out that it's not just, like, $1,000 game, right?
No. No. It's not just like going and shooting something for like $1,500. No, it's like multiple five-figure projects, and we had to learn along the way, and yes, you have to put in your time. Not all of us started right out of the gate, year 1, shooting weddings for $10,000, right? We shot weddings for 1,000 and 2,000 and 3,000, and we worked our way up, and it's the same kind of game for corporate commercial work, but one of the best things in the course, that's the most valuable thing in the course, is how to price your services appropriately for corporate commercial work. It's a completely different pricing model that really clicks with corporate commercial clients, and it completely changed us in how we weren't undercutting ourselves, and to where the client saw more value-based pricing than just like itemized numbers on an invoice. So, just a little hint of what's ahead. I know that based on what we've done in surveys and chatting with you guys in the DMs and chatting with people in our Facebook group, commercial corporate work is a huge interest for wedding videographers and wedding photographers. And so it's a big piece in this new course too.
Mhm. Yep, and then I'm spearheading the educational route, and there's a lot. If you wanna sell courses, if you wanna host live coaching groups, if you wanna I mean, honestly, even, like, delve into, like, the live event stuff, I think all of this would apply. Like, it's so much more than just, like, posting an Instagram story and saying, like, "Tickets are available," because you're gonna hear crickets, when it comes to that.
Yeah.
There's, like, a way
And
to actually make money.
And we hate to see it. We see it
You
so
know?
much, you guys, and, like, Taylor and I will just see whatever offerings kind of, like, float in, and I'm like, "This isn't gonna sell." Like, we can just tell because, like, we have the system of, like, how it's gonna sell, and it's like, we just wanna, like, take you under your wing, take you under our wing, and show you the proven strategy. So, we're going to get started on that strategy inside of the revenue blueprint. Next week, there are 3 meeting times on where we are going to do our live teaching with you. You can head over to thelevelupco.com/blueprint, save your seat today, and the journey starts there. Taylor, any lasting thoughts on this?
I just You guys, I'm really excited because it's, like, something so brand new that has never been taught before by anyone that we've ever seen, and I think it has the power to be absolutely life-changing, and I can say that because it's been life-changing for me, it's been life-changing for you, which means, like, it's life-changing for our children, um, and we don't want you to play it small anymore. Like, get out of your comfort zone, do something a little scary. The rewards will meet you when you rise to the occasion. I don't know. Go listen to a motivational podcast after this, and just pretend like it's me talking because I have like all the words for you.
I love it. All right, guys. I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We just, again, we want to bring full transparency to you. We can teach you the proven framework again and again and again inside of our course. We teach it in our mastermind. But the real root of it for Taylor and I is that the single thing that really skyrocketed each of our businesses, and it will skyrocket your wedding business as well, is when you have another revenue stream to lean on. And we just wanted to be totally transparent about that. I feel like we brought that in on this episode. If you guys have any other questions for us, things where you're just kind of left like scratching your head like, wait, this isn't really making sense, or I need a little bit more clarification on this, or if you have questions about the free training, please DM us on Instagram at the Level Up Co. We are so happy to answer your questions. Taylor and I also love to do like little voice memos where we can like talk you through any troubleshooting things you have or questions you have. And again, this is a two-way relationship, us and you as listeners. And so we hope to hear from you. We hope to see you live next week inside of the Revenue Blueprint. And I think that's it for me, Taylor. Any lasting thoughts for you?
I just want to see you guys there. And if you're tuning in live to the Revenue Blueprint, you do get a free little gift, which who doesn't love that? And it's actually going to be a really great tool to help you take actionable steps to getting your revenue diversification
Like off
underway,
the ground.
off the
Yes.
ground. There we go. But if you can't make it live, no big deal. There will be replays available. So that's totally fine. We understand that. We are all busy. So that's okay too. So we hope to see you there. We're really excited. And check out the show notes for all the details. Thank you for joining us in today's conversation. Please help us reach more filmmakers and photographers like you by taking a screenshot and sharing it to social media. And don't forget to tag us at The Level Up Co.
And join us again next week, same time, same place, as we continue to level up the industry together.